Hello there, Commonwealth from here. And as we have reached the middle of March, well, Pokemon Winds and Waves is coming out in 2027. We don't even know if it's gonna be in the new fiscal year starting on April 1st. As for Zelda and Mario on the other hand, nothing has really happened compared to what we knew back in September. No new big mainline games have been announced in that time frame, and it is a very strange situation that we haven't seen in the last 10 years or so. Which is obviously strange, because normally, before the start of the new fiscal year, we would have had a general Nintendo Direct. But without that one, we cannot expect any big new mainline Mario announcements, Zelda announcements, or any other games. So what really is Nintendo's big 2026 game? I'm not talking about the Tomodachis, the Yoshis, but rather, what else is there apart from Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave? Because we know Fire Emblem can sell pretty well, but it's not on the same level as the top 10 selling Nintendo Switch games. And it's those that we will be focusing on. So, in truth, I really see 3 or 4 candidates that Nintendo could come out with this year based on how long it's been since we had one of these type of games. And some of them might surprise us because, yes, Splatoon used to be a top 10 seller, but towards the end of the Nintendo Switch generation, it wasn't anymore. And Splatoon Raiders is a spin-off, which we have gotten quite accustomed to, as spin-offs, when it comes to new games at least, have been the norm for the launcher of the Nintendo Switch 2, apart from Mario Kart and Donkey Kong Bonanza. But are there any games to the end of 2026 that could sell, say, 10 million plus, and thus be within, or close to at least, to the top 10 best-selling Nintendo Switch 2 games when we'll be tallying it up around 7 years from now? Absolutely. The Mario 40th anniversary has taken all attention. It's just that when it comes to new stuff, it's mainly been about the Super Mario Galaxy movie, April 1st, the start of the new fiscal year for Nintendo. And as we remember with the Mario movie the first Mario movie in 2023, not long after, during the June Direct of that year, we had the reveal of Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And surprisingly enough, before the Super Mario Galaxy movie, we have Super Mario Bros. Wonder Switch 2 edition, but obviously not on the level of, say, 2017 or 2023. Because you can't top the 2 brand new open-air Zelda games. Speaking of open-air Zelda, I don't think we're going to see a release of it, of course, in 2026. So it's not going to be the new mainline open-air Zelda game. Unlike what is the chance with Mario, it is a possibility that the Mario team needs a little bit more time after Donkey Kong Bonanza, and instead it's coming out in 2027, so exactly 10 years after Super Mario Odyssey, and at least 6 years after Bowser's Fury. But at this point, it is up in the air. Like, it could be announced as soon as in April, with the start of the new fiscal year, say shortly after Easter, but there are also signs that Nintendo could just wait with a Nintendo Direct until the big one that they usually have in June. It's just that last year we didn't have a June Direct, at least not one that wasn't game-specific, since it was tied to Donkey Kong Bonanza. It could be a similar situation in 2023, where it is announced in June. The only problem is that 2023 also had a February Direct, while this time we didn't have a February general Nintendo Direct. We had a partner showcase, we have had an Indie World, we have even had Galaxy Movie Direct, we have even had other type of directs, but the only one that is really missing at this point is the general Nintendo Direct. And I don't see anything 3D Mario or Zelda being announced until we get that presentation. The reason is quite simple. These games don't get revealed outside of directs, or stuff that are bigger than that. System presentation. The same really goes when you think about other franchises as well. Even sports games, as we saw with Nintendo Switch Sports, they don't get announced outside of Nintendo Directs. And they have to be general Nintendo Directs as well. So could we see a Nintendo Switch 2 Sports? Could we see successor to Ring Fit Adventure? After all, that franchise was for a long while in the top 10 best-selling Nintendo Switch games. That could be one of those games. Another thing that I think it could be is a Zelda remake. Of course, it depends on what type it is, because 2D remakes could have a hard time getting to 10 million sold titles. But if it is a 3D remake, whether it's Twilight Princess for its 20th anniversary later this year, instead of bringing it to GameCube Switch Online, or the Dream remake that we've been losing hope because, well, no general Nintendo Direct so far, namely Ocarina of Time 4K remake, though there have been rumors of just Miitopia of the 3DS versions, Ocarina of Time 3D, and that was of course something that wouldn't be as satisfying. I think that would be struggling to sell 10 million copies compared to a full-on from scratch remake. Two of those games are or actually 3 when we add to it. Of course, a new 3D Mario game, which is long overdue. But interestingly enough, Super Mario Odyssey was also a game that came out in a different fiscal year than The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and also a different fiscal year than Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It was the big release game of the fiscal year between April 1st, 2017 and April 1st, 2018. So it could be the same in the case of April 1st, 2026 to April 1st, 2027, where 3D Mario is the big game again, since maybe Pokemon Winds and Waves is coming out after April 1st, 2027. But if Pokemon Winds and Waves is coming out before April 1st, 2027, then that could be the big Nintendo release and bestseller of the new fiscal year as well. And then maybe 3D Mario is the big Nintendo game of the fiscal year starting April 1st, 2027. It could make sense in that regard. And then in between you have a Zelda remake remaster. And then it doesn't even have to be Ocarina of Time 4K, because you already have that big seller in between. But of course, if Nintendo want to capitalize on the success and launch year of the Nintendo Switch 2, then of course Ocarina of Time 4K would be their best bet from a sales perspective. Twilight Princess could probably do something similar, but selling 10 plus million will be very difficult unless it's a massive overhaul with new content and new story beats and so on. Well, we already had Twilight Princess HD with new content back in 2016, so 10 years ago. But until we have a general direct, I mean, we can't expect any of the big mainline games to have any reveals or releases. And apart from Mario, the only game on Nintendo Switch that managed to get a release in the same calendar year at least, not counting Pokemon of course, was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and the new Super Smash Bros. Game. Not the Switch 2 edition of Ultimate, though that is also a possibility, seeing that you can just add characters while keeping everything else that is in that game. But maybe since Animal Crossing did the Switch 2's edition already, we could instead see a brand new Smash game coming out. And you would say that, oh, Kirby Air Riders just came out. Yes, that is true, and that is what makes this probably the least likely candidate of being the big Nintendo game of 2026, but it's still a proper and significant possibility, especially seeing that Pokemon is not coming out in 2026. We don't know if a new 3D Mario game will be coming out in 2026. We don't know if a Zelda remake will be a big 3D one that can sell the numbers that we would of course want it to sell. What does that leave us when it comes to the top 10 bestsellers from the Nintendo Switch? Naturally, Super Smash Bros. And the timing would be correct, it would be in the second year, as we saw in the case of the Nintendo Switch as well, where it came out a little bit before we got to the 2-year mark. So if this game is again a December release, it would be very close to being that. And even if it was revealed in, say, an April General Direct at the soonest, it wouldn't be coming out probably before December. If it gets revealed in June, I don't see it anymore as a 2026 game. Zelda could surprise us with a 2D game, but seeing how Echoes of Wisdom did and struggled with selling 3+ million copies over time, I have a feeling that it is not among the big games. For Zelda fans it would obviously be, especially if it's more traditional again and you play as Link. But I have a feeling that it is about 3D Mario, it is about a new Nintendo Switch sports game or a Ring Fit Adventure sequel, and it is about Super Smash Bros. But of course the joker here could be The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time remake or Twilight Princess remake. And those are really our hopes when it comes to games that could come out. Because Kirby, maybe we could see something of Kirby, as HAL wasn't involved in the same way with Kirby Air Riders, and it's been a while since we had the last Kirby release. We did have new content for Kirby and the Forgotten Land last year, but that was a Switch 2 edition upgrade. It's not a new game. Question is, if a new Kirby is revealed in the next general Nintendo Direct, would it even come out in 2026? Because we remember Kirby and the Forgotten Land was revealed not in the year that it launched this time. And also, Kirby isn't in the top 10 best-selling. That's where we find Smash, that's where we find Mario Kart, Animal Crossing, 3D Zelda, 3D Mario, Pokemon, whether that's Legends or mainline New Generations. And also previously, Nintendo sports games and mainline Splatoon. Those are really the options of the big games that they have, and which haven't seen brand new games yet on the Nintendo Switch 2, and also have a greater appeal. And in the case of Zelda, even a remake of a 3D game has an appeal because we only have had Switch 2 editions so far, and a Hyrule Warriors game, not counting, of course, a Wind Waker GameCube Switch Online. But with that in mind, what do you think will be Nintendo's big new game that will be both revealed and released in 2026? I'm still feeling maybe 3D Mario, but I'm actually getting closer and closer to Super Smash Bros. But leave your reply about this in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, then be sure to leave a like, subscribe and press the notification bell to not miss any upcoming Nintendo Switch 2, Mario, Zelda and so on videos. Last but not least, a big thanks to you for watching to the end, and to all our patreon.com/commonrealm patrons. Special shoutouts go to Raw Producer, Jonathan, and Heroes, Cheryl, Garrett Hoy, Holly Wolf, and Gintar. You rock, and please enjoy these awesome videos.